sort of corporatization of the media that has happened over the past however many years and decades, and how corporate media is profiting off of the current administration and how that is driving the narrative. I think, they is a big, broad word, but, there is reasons why Trump can get on TV and speak for an hour and 45 minutes about immigration policies that will never come to fruition, fake things that are not actually happening in the caravan, because it sells. That type of theater sells. And I am glad to hear, talking about building, kind of not necessarily ignoring what's happening, but cutting through the crap and saying yes, that's where the media is going, but we can independently think outside of that. Going back to the questions that Maria raised, it's is what they're saying changing what we have to do? No.
No, it is.
So I just, definitely.
So we have an aldermanic race.
Yeah.
We have actually two candidates in the room, as it turns out. Let's hear it for the candidates. We had scheduled through the politics committee and the steering committee a potential all neighborhood meeting somewhere around December 12th or 13th, I believe it's the Wednesday the 12th, which potentially would be an endorsement session.
Yep.
We also have been approached by a number of our own members and people outside of us to sponsor debates. We need anybody and everybody who are members or people who want to become members. There's a funny little sign-in sheet here. If I don't have your name, if we don't have your name before now and you want to be involved in this process I just described, it'd be a good idea to sign in here. Because we will go ahead. We did have questions and a governor's bunch of interview questions which JP did answer. And he answered them pretty well, actually, which we'll share with our membership. But we're doing the same thing with questions for city offices, including mayor.
Great.
We've now had two mayoral candidates in the neighborhood thanks to Kathleen's First Mondays, with Troy and just yesterday with, or 2 days ago with Amira. Say her last name.
Amara Enya.
Amara Enya. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we continue to be active in the way that we have been, we will be a place that sees more mayoral candidates coming through to give us their credentials, as it were.
I can tell you, we had at least two others in the neighborhood, just not in a network organizing.
Right.
Both McCarthy and Lightfoot, I know met with McCarthy and Lightfoot, who met with members of Rogers Park Builders group.
Okay. And one of the suggestions that I got was that we offer to let Rogers Park Builders co-sponsor one of these debates with us. I'm entirely in favor of, since they felt that their toes were stepped on by the Snaggy Whiplash cartoon. It was actually pretty good.
I haven't seen this yet.
It was Don't Let Landlords Make You Dumb, that thing.
We got their attention.
Landlord,
Yeah, I didn't like it. So,
The
but
referendum passed here by over 60%.
all right.
Yeah.
So lifting the ban on
right,
discussion of rent control
Yeah.
passed like 66%.
66.
Our voters,
Not
yeah.
having it.
Despite ballot problems.
And so the builders group doesn't want us discussing it, but our voters said we're going to discuss
That's
it.
right, that's right.
I saw a hand.
Oh, yeah, when you mentioned Amara, I just wanted to say that I have a petition about here, so if you want to sign it.
Say that louder.
I have a petition for Amara Enya over here, if you wanted to sign it to get her on the ballot.
Thank you. What's your name?
Talika.
Talika. Thank you. Say it.
I also wanted to mention some of the voting problems that we had at the polls because I served as an election judge, and we never had these problems before. It was I was the 30th ward, the 11th precinct.
Oh, 30th.
Yes, but I think there were new rules by the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, where we have to have 60 inches behind the disabled voting booth. So we had to switch our booth arrangement around, and the total were about 8 booths. So people were complaining that the booths were arranged so that they were too tightly together, or they didn't have enough accessibility, that it was a fire hazard. And then since the people complained, then the inspectors had to respond. So they wanted us to tear down 3 booths. So when we did, the voting was it took twice as long. So I called Election Central again and asked their permission to put the booths up again, because I was telling them that since we took down the booths, the election took twice as long. So they gave me permission to put up the booths, and then a couple of hours later, we had 25 people waiting outside. The inspectors came back, and then they were complaining that I wasn't following orders, and that they had the resolution desk wanting us to address the problem. So I called resolution desk again and told them the problem, that they want me to take down the booths now when there are 25 people waiting. And then the inspectors were saying that, no, that's not what we meant. But they were taking so much time away from what I was doing, so that I wasn't able to help the voters. There were only 4 judges. So finally, we did help the voters, but it seems that people were complaining and having us have fewer booths instead of we had few enough booths as it was, and then people were complaining, so that Election Central had to address the people's complaints, so that we would have fewer booths when we need more.
Thank you.
Was that your first time doing that?
I have been working 6 years as an election judge, and this is the first time that this happened.
How many people worked in a polling place yesterday?
4. Usually we have about.
I'm asking out of this group. How many people actually did duty as a judge or an election? Just the 2 of you and your hand. No, you who were just
Trudy.
Oh yes, Trudy. I mean, sorry.
All right, so that was not as many as I thought.
So Katie, you've done a lot of this work with the Board of Elections.
Yes.
I have a question that has bothered me since I very first signed up to be a voter registrar, which is that the shifts are ridiculous. They're hugely long shifts, and to me, it's like a walk. Of course, it's impossible to get people to sign up to this. It's grossly underpaid, and you open and close, and why? What's wrong with having shifts?
Why don't we make an investigation into
I was
this?
wondering,
How do we have,
investigate?
as one of our members, we have David Orr. David Orr revolutionized the polling place experience in the county of Cook, everywhere but the city of Chicago. And he ran elections that were basically the same number of precincts, about 2,400 precincts, only in places where there was no public transportation and much more difficult to train people. And he did a 200% better job of it, 300, than the city of Chicago for all the years he was in office. I think that your question, you're pointing out that, Trudy, you saying about the shortage of materials, where's the, why did we make it so difficult to vote?
Yeah, it was more difficult this time.
To help people vote.
I think we ought to look into that.
And there was one more problem as well. There was a voter that told me that she's been in the ward all her life at the same address, and then suddenly she's put in another. She has her record at another address at some other ward, very far away. So I called in, and then when I tried to.
We can't go through all the chapters.
Yes.
Of those
Yeah.
connections.
Oh yeah. Yes, but it was very strange.
Every time. They do.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
Natalia, what's your?
Okay, so mine is not a question, it's more of a comment bringing it back to the December 12th event. So the ballot will be set by December. We'll have our endorsement session. Everybody mark your calendars, you can come out for that. Also, there'll be, politics committee came up with a list of questions to ask the alderman and candidates. interested in helping, formulate that for the aldermanic session, at least we have a politics committee meeting coming up. So please, next Monday, please consider attending that. But as I said, the ballot will be set in December. You'll be able to see
Will it
who.
really be set by the 12th?
We imagine it will be. We imagine it will be. Hopefully.
I don't know that the mayoral candidates will be decided.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Aldermanic probably, but mayoral. So,
Where were the questions asked of the governor? And you said Pritzker answered them very well. Where can we, I'm not on
It's on
Facebook.
our
They're
website.
on the Network 29 website.
Oh,
Is
it's
it
on the
already up
yeah,
website?
it's posted.
Okay, so will
Okay.
these questions
We
be?
posted it as soon as
except
it
they
came.
haven't been finalized.
Oh, right, are we gonna have an endorsement session?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay.
The 12th,
Okay.
December 12th.
Where?
I don't know where. Yeah.
And
You'll get a notice about it.
it'll be for mayor as well
Okay,
as
there's a
governor.
little bit of
We
food
don't have
left, so
answers to
anybody
everything.
who needs some, something to line your belly, do it. Finish it off. Anybody have any parting thoughts?
I've got one.
Yes, sir. Bill?
This is my first full day of running as for 49th Ward Alderman. And since we're in the same room together, I would like to ask you a question real quick. A lot of people have asked me if you should be in a runoff, or if I should be in a runoff, or if someone should get knocked off the ballots, if we would align with each other. And I want to ask you, in that kind of situation, would we align with one another?
I don't know. I don't know much about your platform at this point.
So why don't y'all have coffee and
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
right.
it? Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
No, we're not done. I want to.
Sorry, not for the final party thoughts. And again, so we can sit down and have coffee. 'cause
And there's also there's a fourth candidate too. His name is Ben. He's been
Yeah,
requesting.
but we're talking
petitions.
about who's actually gonna make the ballot.
Yeah, so I would love to sit down and have coffee with you and learn more about what you're doing. For other party thoughts, though, I'm going to borrow this for a moment. So other party thoughts, now that many of your time is freed up post midterm, I need more volunteers. So we've got a couple of events coming up. So Saturday from 2 to 3:30 we'll be at Willie White Park for a town hall meeting, and then we have another one on Thursday at Potawatomi. These are pretty informal gatherings where I speak for a little bit about the platform, why I'm running, but they're really a space for neighbors to come out, share their thoughts, and ask questions. And so, especially for folks who aren't in this room, if you've got neighbors or family members that haven't started thinking about the aldermanic elections or that might have questions, these are great events to bring them out to. And I'll let you know that the one on Thursday will have Spanish interpretations, live simultaneous interpretation. So for folks that have Spanish as a primary language, it's a good one to bring those neighbors to. And then I'll also say, Peter, comms director, is here. If you are not already on my email list and you'd like to sign up, or if you would like to volunteer and you haven't done so yet, we'll be going pretty heavily into more phone banking and of course more door knocking and canvassing even through the winter. I think we might have some cool winter headgear eventually available. But if you're interested in helping with the campaign, please sign up. And of course, if you haven't yet signed a petition, we're collecting through the 19th in St. Peter as well. Thank you all.